Hey guys, so this is part 2 of our Jason Shurka interview from last week. It's all around higher consciousness, elevating consciousness, awareness, how to raise your vibration, and a lot more, getting you ready for the ascension. Excited to share today your new academy that you've worked so very hard on and bringing a community together. So do you want to share a little bit about the Academy of Divine Knowledge?
Absolutely. I'm thinking where to begin. So first, I want to say thank you to the both of you for being teachers on the Academy, and I'm looking forward to sharing your incredible content and everything that you guys do. The way that it started, how did it start? Well, I've always had a real, especially over the past few months with everything that's been going on, so many ideas started coming, and I want to do this, and I want to start this initiative, and I want to make this film, and I want to produce this movie, and so many different things. And I'm like, how the hell are we going to do it? Because suddenly I looked into, okay, I want to make a movie. It's like a very short, basic documentary. It's like $50,000, $70,000 if you want to keep it simple. So I'm sitting there like, what the hell? How are we going to do this? How are we because it costs money to generate these things, to make that change. So originally I said, okay, maybe we'll start a nonprofit. And then I started looking at everybody else's nonprofits, and I'm like, listen, there's a very big foundational principle that I always advocate. And that principle is the collective experience. What we experience on this earth collectively is a reflection of our collective consciousness. And if we want to make a change in our collective reality, we first have to make a change in our collective level of awareness and our collective consciousness. Now, with that being said, when it comes to nonprofits, and I don't have a problem with nonprofits, but I'll tell you why I didn't make it a nonprofit. Because a nonprofit is based off of generally donations from many people, but generally big donors. And great if we had somebody donate, let's say 10 million or 50 million or 100 million, we could do awesome things. But energetically speaking, that would mean that all the energy is coming from one person. And to make a change, you can't have one person carrying everybody else. You need everybody to carry each other and themselves. So I said, okay, instead of creating a nonprofit, how do we create this or some sort of something, an initiative, to make a collective shift where everybody can contribute collectively, give ideas collectively, and make change collectively, because collectively is the only way we're making a change, not one person doing something. One person can start something, but ultimately it has to happen collectively. So this whole thing evolved into, let's create some sort of streaming platform where we bring some of the biggest teachers in the world, some of the biggest leaders in the world, who support this cause and support this initiative of making this world a better place and raising the collective level of awareness of humanity. We'll bring them on for Q&As, discussions, conversations, interviews. We'll have teachers, whoever is interested, to come and share their teachings, whoever, like yourselves, by the way, whoever supports this initiative, whoever supports this cause and wants to contribute their energy as well, in whatever way that looks, to give people a reason, instead of just saying, hey, we have a cause and we're asking for contributions. I didn't want to do that. That's, in my eyes, the old system. I wanted to create a flow, because I believe that a flow of abundance is the way of the universe. That's how it is. So if we want to enter that state of flow, we have to create that state of flow. So instead of just asking for contributions, I wanted to give people a reason to sign up for something, contribute to something, while getting something out of it immediately, instead of waiting for a big project to come to fruition. I wanted to do those both simultaneously. So we created this streaming platform where people get, like, at this point, I think it's like 5 different releases a week of like many, many different topics, from guided meditations to like cellular upgrades and activations to things regarding extraterrestrial life, astrology, current events, this thing, everything that's going on, many, many different topics. And to my kind of surprise, I didn't expect it, just like I didn't expect anything that's happened up until now. But we got some incredible people from all around the world that came in just like that. No problem. We're in it. We're with you. And we pretty much have a platform now that while people are streaming great content, that's consciousness expanding content that allows people to grow on the way, we also use their contributions to be able to do different projects. So I hold a weekly, a bi-weekly, or sometimes a monthly meeting, depending on how this sort of thing evolves, that's live, called our community board update, where anybody in the academy can join me live and everybody kind of tunes in. What do you want to see? Where do you want the contributions to go to? What do you want to fund? What initiative do you want to create? And that way, it's not just Jason choosing how we're going to allocate this money. It's Jason facilitating something, but we're all in it together. And we all choose how this is all happening collectively, not individually, collectively. So one of the initiatives that we're doing now is called One Soul at a Time, where we're going to be, I live in New York. I'm going to be going to New York City, finding either one or maybe a few homeless individuals and changing their lives from being a homeless person that felt like they were worthless and was not seen by society, and finding that person a job, finding them a place to live. Instead of giving them the fish, teaching them how to fish, showing them how to reincorporate themselves into a society that they don't just have to be a part of, but they can also positively impact. And that whole initiative is going to be documented and turned into a documentary called One Soul at a Time, to show that this initiative is really to inspire people, to show that if you just lend, forget about going out of your way to find somebody a job and get them back on their feet. Just give them attention. Ask them what their story is. Where are they from? Everybody, whether you're a drug addict, whether you're whether you're homeless, whatever it may be, doesn't matter. You have a story. You came from somewhere. You have a heart. You have a soul. And if we can start acknowledging those individuals, like you said, through love, because that's what we're going into, if we can start bringing that resonance back to the world collectively, which will start individually, but end collectively. I mean, I don't see why we can't reach a completely new world in the most beautiful way a whole lot quicker than people imagine. So that's one of the projects that we're funding with the Academy of Divine Knowledge, and many more that are just going to kind of come up to fruition. So for anybody that's interested in that, they can come on academyofdk.com and sign up for a monthly contribution, 6 months, a year, whatever it is. And if somebody can't afford the month or any of the above, we always offer a chance to just join at whatever you can pay. Because again, abundance, it's not about, we need you to do this. You do what you can, and whatever you can is great. It's all good. We're building a new system.
Yeah, and I love that too, because I think that's why you got so many contributions from people who are out there doing this work. When you asked, I know immediately, Roxy goes, listen, there's an opportunity, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, yep, let's do it. And I didn't even really know what we were signing up for, right? I was like, it sounds so good, we just want to have an impact. We were connected to that feeling of having an impact and realizing that you just give and you give and you give, and so much would come back. I love the story of helping the one individual soul, because, when you work with people, you realize, oh, right, that person, their outer world is a reflection of the inner world. We all come into the world the same, as this spark of the divine with all this wonder and opportunity in front of us. And then the environment we land in influences how we get to where we are in our life. So some poor people get a rough trot, right? They're in the wrong place at the wrong time. They have horrible things happen to them, and they're living with pain, or they're living with all this emotion tied up in them, and they're having trouble sort of battling through it. But when you can help them to heal themselves, rather than say, go out there and do it, but like guide them and help them, a little bit like a big brother would help a little brother and sort of guide them through that process. I sometimes feel like people who channel or tap into, light beings, or, fifth or sixth dimensional consciousness, and they have their channel and they sit there and they teach people about love and compassion and kindness and helping humanity. It's that same sort of analogy of the big brother helping the little brother, so to speak, or the big sister and the little sister. It's like the same with your wonderful initiative to help, one soul, one homeless person.
It's incredible. The day we launched, I think, I don't remember the exact number, but about $120,000 was brought in. The day we launched, that goes to show you, it's like, people are there, people are here to help. People want to help. They want to be a part of it. And I mean, we're ready to go. You know, I want to, you see companies like Netflix, you know, and all these companies, it's like, well, what are you doing? Streaming it's like a movie. It's entertaining, but it doesn't do anything for us. It probably makes us dumber on the way. So let's start streaming things that can benefit humanity on the collective level. You know, let's start streaming things that wake people up comfortably through love, through compassion. And we just don't have the people to fund it because the people in the world today collectively, they're businessmen, right? And they only do what makes money. Well, you can make all of the above if you do something great. And people don't think like that because they're in the old system. And that's why the Academy platform, I didn't want to build in any reflection of the current system. We changed it completely. You go to a businessman, you tell an investor or businessman, we don't have any investors, by the way, and we're never going to, because that's the old system. But you have a businessman, if you were to sit down with a true businessman and tell him that you're allowing people to join a platform at whatever price they want, the first thing they're going to say is they're going to take advantage. They're going to give you 1 penny. And actually, I could tell you that those individuals, some of them are paying more than what we asked, because that's what the flow of the universe looks like. That's what abundance looks like. And just like the collective consciousness reacts to things in the way that they're aware of, like with ETs, they say we have to defend ourselves. Well, no, because that's not what ETs do. They're not coming here to attack, and they never have, by the way. We don't have any documented proof of them coming here to attack, yet we believe that arbitrarily because that's a reflection of our own consciousness. Just by staying in that consciousness, we cause that to become a reality. So that businessman that says, oh no, they're only going to give you a penny. Well, I guarantee you, if that businessman were to build the same platform, he'd attract all the people that give him a penny, instead of those in that state of abundance that make a difference. And that's the energetic sort of understanding of how we're building this in a different way that has nothing to do with the way the world knows systems to be kind of built and constructed today. We're doing it against every rule in the book to show that there's a better way, there's a different way, and there's a way that can benefit everybody on the way.
Yeah, and this philosophy of elevating consciousness is the new way to create change. You know, you referred to earlier things like, you know, Hitler and the Nazis and dealing with this, you know, atrocities that were going on and all these people that were dying during those wars. And it was a terrible time in human history. However, at the end of it, when it was over, when the countries got together and they defeated the so-called the baddies, or however it was portrayed, but eventually they weren't successful. Also, there was a lot of change for the collective after that event. You know, there was the United Nations, there was a lot of anti-slavery laws brought in, there was a lot of you know, organizations that were formed, World Vision and etc., sort of helping humanity change because of that event. And if you look at it from like a fifth dimensional perspective, right? So they've moved from 3D, they go into the 4D where it's like, really, it's all about helping one another. And if you're not careful in 4D, the trap of that is you're so busy trying to save everyone that you get caught in that paradigm. We got to save everyone. But fifth dimension's got the wisdom to be able to look and realize that sometimes there might need to be pain for there to be a shift in consciousness. But if we, the fourth dimensional type thinkers, and I'll not jump into that point, but if you start thinking like that, you realize you can also create change through showing to everyone, really, we're all one. And when you break it down and you realize, you know, guys, actually, we kind of are all one. We should share our information. We should share our enthusiasm, our love, our knowledge with everyone, and realize we'll all get looked after and we'll all sort of float together. Wouldn't it be just fantastic if we could elevate without needing World War III or without needing some sort of big conflict to create the change?
You know, it's interesting. I'm going to say something that people may kind of like, they're going to take their heads back, but just hear me out. The people who we call the most evil devils in the world, like Hitler, in a way, are your angels. Because just like there was a leader like Gandhi and Mother Teresa who made a change, Hitler made a change too, only differently. We see Hitler as a man who came to kill people. It's not true. He's a result of our consciousness, and he was a creation of our consciousness. And what Hitler really was an opportunity to see ourselves in a mirror that we've never had before. We were sleeping deeply in a coma of awareness before Hitler, and before many things that happened and kept trying to wake us up. But all of these atrocities that we call atrocities, we don't need them. We choose to have them. But those atrocities and those really evil leaders and people, they're what show us the lowest potential of humanity. So we know what not to do and to stay away from. And just the way that we call that man the devil, he was a creation of our own consciousness. He wasn't just a man, he was a creation of our own consciousness. We elected him into power. We allowed him to do what he did for years, killing people, and many people knew what he was doing and nobody stopped him. The sad part is not that Hitler killed, how many people died during that point? 30 million, 6 million Jews, and many others, right? That's not the atrocious part here. The real sad thing that happened in World War II and the Holocaust and all that was the fact that nobody stopped him. That's what we have to be focusing on. Nobody stopped him. And that's the biggest mirror and reflection of ourselves there is. And that's it. So there are opportunities and all of these opportunities in disguise in so many ways. And when we can start to see them as opportunities in disguise, instead of things that are coming to take us down, I mean, our lives change right before our eyes, but it seems we're still at the point where we have short attention spans and we seem to forget. Almost like we touch the fire. We live 2 years knowing that fire is dangerous. And then somehow we have some Alzheimer's, we forget and we touch the fire again. And then we have that reminder all over again. And again, the question is, how many times do we have to touch the fire until we actually remember permanently that thing is going to burn you? So it's not a bad thing, or there is no good or bad here. It's not a bad thing that you get burned when you touch the fire. It's a learning experience so you don't do it again. And then the freedom of choice comes in, of you choosing, do you want to do it again? Or do you want to learn from that experience? And that's what we have to do to move forward. We have to learn from our experience through the freedom of choice. That's all it comes down to.
And so when people right now are going around going, oh my gosh, we're losing our freedom. They're making us get the thing and do the thing and it'll do this and they'll track me and my DNA and my blah, blah, blah. And they get like, go into this state. It's like, realize what this is. When we get faced with a big challenge, it's an opportunity to respond. You know, it's easy to be a nice guy when someone's being nice to you, but when someone's a mongrel and they treat you wrong and they like do the wrong thing by you, and you've got to rise above that and be kind and compassionate and understanding for them, that's when you really grow as a person. You know, if everyone just tells you you're great, you don't really get much personal growth. But when you getting all this negativity thrown on you, and it's the same out there in the collective now, you know, people are going, businesses are closing and things are all this is going on. And instead we got to, you know, do this or do that or whatever people are going, and oh my gosh, it's terrible, rather than going, well, what's this trying to show us? You know, the power of everyone is in the hands of so few. We allow this to happen. We allow these organizations to peddle us falses and mistruths. And, you know, you interview 10 people, most of them would say, oh, you can't trust what you hear on the news. Oh, who's making all the money out of this? Yet we allow it to happen. It just keeps going on. These same political parties get voted in with the same agendas, with the same people paying lots of money, stakeholders, you know, they talk about that term. They're putting, like you talked about, the wonder of your platform in there. There's no big stakeholder. As soon as that person gives you 50 million, but they're going to peddle it off to you in 5 million over the next 10 years, but they want to know what your content is. Well, all of a sudden you're tied into them. If they don't want you to do a story on this.
That's why we don't do it.
Right.
Never going to.
And that's what's going on in the world.
Like, I want to invest. I want to this. I said, you're not investing. You can contribute. Nobody's investing.
Yeah, so I love the program. I love like the platform and these sort of conversations. I think there needs to be more of these conversations. We gotta tell people stop watching Netflix and sitting there watching all of that stuff and current affair shows and the news and all. Instead of filling their mind with that sort of information, it should be the good, the clean, the powerful, the positive, so that they become aware and they become more strong within themselves and realize that they have responsibility. They have the ability to change their life. They don't like their job, or they've got the ability to change that. They have trouble in their relationship, they've got the ability to change that, or their health, or whatever it might be. And then when they get themselves better, they improve humanity.
I love it. No, it's true. It's true. It's happening.
All right. Thank you, Jason, so much for coming on today. We love you. Such a brave and courageous soul. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing for yourself and the consciousness and your brothers and sisters on the planet. And yeah, from our heart to your heart, thank you so much.
Thank you both very much. And yeah, until we do this again, I had a great time.
Yeah. Awesome.